ASSOCHAM and Managing Director and CEO, Senco Gold will moderate this session as well. Please welcome our other speakers for this session. Please welcome Mr. Ruth Crowell, CEO, London Bullion Market Association, LBMA, with a round of applause. Please welcome Mr. Harish Pawani, Director, PK Intermark Limited, Mr. Ashok Gautam, MD and CEO, India International Bullion Exchange, IFSC. Please welcome Ms. Shruti Agarwal, Director, SMC Group, Mr. Chirag Sheth, Principal Consultant, South Asia Metal Focus, and Mr. Jeffrey Rhodes, CEO and Managing Director, Rhodes Precious Metal Consultancy, UAE. Please give a round of applause to our speakers. I request all of them to please come on stage. Mr. Crowell, Mr. Patwani, Mr. Gautam, Ms. Shruti is already here, and Mr. Chirag Sheth. I don't feel anything.
You didn't give your own opinion.
I'll hand it over to Mr. Sen to steer this discussion.
So, thank you everyone for joining in. This is the last session for the 15th International Gold Economic Forum, and I'm sure that it's a very important session where the whole subject is how we make India's gold market from a global perspective, which we've been talking about since the beginning, that we want to promote Made in India. We want to work towards the growth of the nation. It is not just about improving the quality. It is also about building the perspective. It is about building the image that, yes, India is truly a global superpower and people can trust all across the world the country, India. So we'll begin with the thought process. We've got the most senior most person with us, Harish ji. You've been in the... Great, so we'll start with Shruti. That what in your thought process are steps that we all need to take towards making India, in the world as one of the countries to look forward to and be a global superpower, and from a jewelry perspective, from a gold perspective, what do we need to do?
So firstly, Mr. Sen, thank you for the question. Firstly, there are a few steps that we can take, like Make in India. So Make in India initiative for gold specifically, like Indian artisans are known all over the globe. The craftsmanship, the cheap labor, so we need to monetize on that. Secondly, the exports, the free trade agreements which we have, like the one we have with UAE, the CEPA agreement. Because of that, the Indian manufacturers are getting gold at 1% cheaper rate, which is resulting in making Indian jewelry in the global market 5% cheaper versus countries like Malaysia, Turkey. And in the past 1 year, this has increased our exports to UAE by 16–17%. So that is a major thing. Then again, in the last panel discussion also, we talked about how around 25 to 30,000 ton of gold is sitting in the Indian households. So monetization of that is very important. The Indian government launched the gold monetization scheme in 2015. However, that was not very big success. Only like 5–6% of households actually knew about the scheme. That was one of the reasons. However, new bonds like sovereign gold bonds, which got matured, like the first tranche of sovereign gold bonds got matured on November 30, and the annual return was 12.9%, which is a very good return. So such initiatives like sovereign gold bonds, gold ETFs, digital gold will definitely help in unleashing that value, and bringing gold to financial instruments is one of the big things. Yeah.
Thank you, Shruti ji, for the insights. We have our guest joining us from London and from UAE. We have Ms. Ruth, we have Mr. Jeffrey. So, before we carry on with the panelists on the dais, we would really want to take your perspective, because it is always said that, how the world sees is what we are, right? So how do you look at India from a global perspective and positioning India as a jeweler to the world? So I'll request Ms. Ruth to be, giving her inputs first. We look forward to be the jeweler to the world. What do you think we should all do towards that? Yes, thank you, Ms. Ruth. And with our gift city coming up, I'm sure that we will be more than happy to have your banks and members to come to India, and we are welcoming all of them so that they are a part of this growth journey as well. Yes, Mr. Jeffrey, what would be your thoughts on it?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me on the panel. I would argue quite strongly that India is already on the world stage in terms of jewellery, and certainly its relationship with the UAE, which is going from strength to strength. I think the CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement that India is signing, particularly with the UAE, has given a massive boost to the flows, both ways actually. I mean, it's really good for India. I think you have mentioned something that's really important, that gold jewellery coming into
Great. Yes, yes. We are hearing you, and I'm sure that these points are being noted. We will work with the various manufacturers and make sure that the responsible sourcing aspect of it is taken care of, and we will work towards it. Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey. I go to Chirag. Chirag, you've been doing research across the world. You've been observing our country and so many more countries in terms of market, in terms of each and every aspect. So what would be your observations and your learning as we move?
Sure, Suvankar, thanks. So I've got a bit of a different view. Yes, there is no doubt that we are one of the largest exporters of the world. But I think it's important to put this into perspective and look beyond just the numbers. So if you actually look at India's FY23 gold jewelry exports, roughly about 75,000 crores, probably a year-on-year jump of 11%, right? But whom are we exporting to actually? Are we manufacturing the kind of jewelry that the world wants to wear? Or are we manufacturing the jewelry that we want world to wear? And I think here is the difference, what we need to learn from the likes of Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, some of the large jewelry manufacturing centers. They do not manufacture their local jewelry and export, right? They manufacture jewelry that the world want to wear. Now, if you look at Indian jewelry, and yes, we export to more than 100 countries across the world, but who are our major buyers? Our major buyers are essentially UAE, UK, US, parts of Europe, where Indian diaspora is. So the fact that while, yes, India is one of the largest exporters of the world, we've not been able to systematically increase our export market because we've been very much focusing on the Indian diaspora. Whereas some of the other markets of the world have been able to focus on the international market without worrying about what they manufacture. So I think to become the jewelry of the world, we don't have to manufacture what we want world to wear, but what the world wants to wear.
No, I take it, Chirag, but there is one, in terms of gold jewelry, I agree that it's been either the Middle East or Indian diaspora. But when it comes to diamond jewelry, I must say that you have the Walmarts of the world or other such big departmental stores who are buying Indian jewelry.
Absolutely.
And while Thailand and others are also in the game, but then we are doing jewelry which the world wants.
I think, Suvankar, the point is that we need to replicate what we did with diamond jewelry. We need to replicate what we did with silver jewelry, right? Silver, in fact, we were able to pip Thailand as the biggest exporter to the world, right? So I think we need to do similar things, and that then boils to probably investment in technology, investment in designing, better marketing. I think something that we've been able to do in diamond and silver much better than in gold.
Right. No, say we saw in Spain that everyone is wearing gold jewelry, a nice chain with a pendant. Now, whether the gold purity is 9 carat or 18 carat, or whether it's silver coated with gold, but there is a demand, there is a need, and I think that if, as in a country, we work towards it, and overall, if World Gold Council and various other organizations promote gold as a product to be worn across the world, I'm sure that India can play a major role in providing the services. Yes, so we move on to Ashokji. You are creating world-class infrastructure and exchange with a dream and vision that, like the way a Shanghai Gold Exchange has been made, we create a Indian exchange where we welcome people across the world to come and provide the market that India is. So to make India jeweler to the world, what are the steps that you are taking and you think that this will lead to success?
Thank you, Suvankarji. This is one point which you mentioned about the Shanghai International Exchange, and the other time when we were interacting with their team and I was seeing their presentation, there is one thing which struck me was that they also have a portal whereby the jewelry export also happens through their exchange. So I just wanted to understand more, though I have not been able to, get into more details about it. But I think that is one good idea, and that is maybe at some point of time in IBX. So the idea is around the International Bullion Exchange, is there a whole ecosystem which we can think of? Obviously, there is a refinery which is coming in the GIFT IFSC. I have seen that there is a proposal which has been given to the Gift City authorities for setting up of a jewelry park. So if the exchange trading bullion happens there, there is also a refinery. Maybe at some point of time the dore also gets imported there. And then there are jewelry parks where the jewelry itself is getting made. And it's not only at that place, you know, we can have these kind of centers across India. And then through exchange, can the international buyers, you know, on the basis of standard jewelry, which are globally liked, we can have that displayed, and can it be, you know, bought and sold on a exchange mechanism, you know, something which we can, you know, replicate on an online basis. So is that something which is doable? I believe it is very much doable, and that is something which we must also aspire to and look at. And also from the exchange ecosystem, the more players get added, probably the more value we'll be able to bring to that.
Right. No, so eBay is helping the various manufacturers to market themselves across the world. But from a IIBX perspective, like what you know, Ms. Ruth was saying, that does it allow us to welcome the bullion banks across the world? Does it, you know, how do we get at it for most efficient pricing? And then the way we are growing in the Middle East, in Dubai, with the trade pacts that we have made. You know, so the more and more we become cost competitive, the more and more we can be competitive in the world. So how would IIBX help in doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is that has been one of the objectives, that can we bring in the price transparency? Can we bring in the large sellers and the large buyers on the same platform, so that there is a better price discovery? And better price discovery also becomes, you know, there is a very efficient pricing mechanism which is there. And of course, the point which you made, it always makes sense, and this is what is one of the objectives. I would also like to very quickly mention about the bullion banks you said. So right now we are into spot exchange, so gold, silver, and then the futures which we'll be launching again in, so today we have already uploaded the silver circular on our website. So futures which will be coming now this month itself. And then going forward, we are also working with both the regulators, IFSC and Reserve Bank of India, to launch the gold metal loan through the exchange. So this covers this whole piece of what we are trying to do, so that we bring the best of the pricing, the most efficient pricing, and how they, you know, the end users on both sides, the sellers as well as the buyers, can access the exchange and give the best pricing to each other, and the volumes grow. And of course, the bullion banks will also find value to use the exchange facilities. Not only that, the vaults which we are having, so can the portability be used from IIBX to the domestic exchanges? Number one, the BDR and EGR conversion. And second point is, the gold which we are having, can there be loco swaps with other vaults across the globe? So these are some of the things which we can certainly look at.
No, sounds very nice. Oh, you, yes, we have Ms. Ruth and Mr. Jeffrey raising hands. Would you like to comment right now, or should we ask our Mr. Harish to, you know, give his remarks, and then we'll come back to you? I think that will be great. So, Mr. Harish, your perspective, you've been there in the industry for so long, and with all the wisdom and the experience that you've seen how India as a country, as a jeweler to the world has evolved. So what would make us, you know, what steps should we take to move towards that direction more?
So I do agree with what Chirag has said earlier, that we should be concentrating more on what the world wants rather than what we want them to wear. At the same time, part of the reason we have done what we want our jewelry to wear is because the Indian diaspora outside is pretty large. Whether it is in UAE, US, UK, at least the three places we know, and probably in Far East. But right now, there is, according to me, that's my own this one, right now we do have an opportunity, what Jeff pointed out, because Jeff and I, when I have spent my lifetime in more or less in UAE, at least more than 50 years. And Jeff has been there for quite a while, so I have known Jeff for a number of years. I think we he entered probably, he entered a little earlier than I did in the industry, but still been almost 40 or 4 decades, I haven't known him. So what he pointed out is that we do have an opportunity because the UAE, by signing CEPA, has now a 5% advantage over the jewelry which is coming from other countries which will invite 5%. Let's say Italian jewelry, which is machine made and has a pretty large, comes in pretty large quantity as well, decent quantity. So if we could, as Chirag suggested, have a window of opportunity to produce jewelry here, which what the rest of the world might be wearing, whether it is 9 carat, 14 carat, 18, 22, but anyway, we are pretty champion at that, 21 and 22 both. So if the other caratage, if we can produce and then first ship it to UAE, it will go there without any duty. And that probably will have a further boost. Of course, marketing is the other part of it. We probably need very well-recognized manufacturers like Tanishq, and there might be others. I'm not in the jewelry trade, so cannot speak on behalf of jewelry. And one more thing I want to also add, which Jeff touched upon on the responsible sourcing, is that in the morning, Samsundram had mentioned that the HUID is because of that, there is a traceability on the jewelry which is sold in India. But then I also want to say that I could be wrong, but as per my information, probably, but nowhere in the world, whether jewelry, manufacturing jewelers itself, bullion dealers, refiners probably are, but they are nowhere regulated anywhere by the government entity. UAE is the probably only country, probably, I could be wrong, but maybe the only country in the world as of now where the entire ecosystem in the bullion industry, that means the traders, and jewelry manufacturers, jewelry retailers, jewelry wholesalers, and refiners are actually regulated by Ministry of Economy. That's the only, and that actually, Jeff, I hope that you would agree with me on that one.
No, absolutely. And as I say, I do think it's important to understand the background. I think the criticism, to be brutally honest, of the UAE was valid. And I talk to someone who's been there 26 years, and it's extremely valid. But the action that's been taken has been, some would call it draconian, others would call it, about time. So, but now, today, as you say, anyone, any deal, so the audience understands, any deal for cash over about, it's 55,000 dirhams for cash, or any deal with an international banking transfer for more than 55,000 dirhams has to be entered into a portal called Bow AML, and both sides have to enter that, and there is audits taking place around the UAE without any formal notice, where companies are having their books looked at and audited by the government. So this is really, really a strict market. Now, if you want me to give you some advice as India, I'd go the same way. I really would go the same way. And I heard the discussion about SROs. Well, the DGCX is an SRO, and the DGCX has been in place for, I guess, 15 years.
Yes.
Something like that. It never made a difference to the perception of the world about the UAE, because the self-regulatory body is actually, there's no teeth to it. So if you don't follow the rules, then kind of so what? Whereas if there's legal teeth to it, it becomes different. I would urge you to go the same way.
So let me continue. So thanks, Jeff, for adding into it. So if India were to sign more the trade agreements like CEPA with other countries, but particularly UK, where the high diaspora is there, and of course US, which is the largest market maybe outside of UAE, but some other markets where that will definitely give some boost. I mean, that's what they should be looking at.
Great, got it. Yes, Ms. Ruth, if you could share your thoughts, you've got your hands raised.
Thank you. I just wanted to come in and say, first of all, certainly UAE should be congratulated for the strong measures they put in place. And we all look to see how the implementation goes. But having, as Jeff says, legal requirements makes a big difference. And certainly in terms of Maharashtra, it is the only country in the world that has done this on such a large scale. I mean, there are many requirements in Switzerland, but not on the jewelry side of things. So I definitely encourage India to send a strong statement to the world that we take these things seriously. Focus on responsible sourcing of the refiners, jewelers, but it is about cash and the A&L element as well. That's what we see focus coming out of, certainly if you're talking US, UK as major trading partners. They want to have comfort on that side. And having teeth is important. Yes, we are, as on the amenities, self-regulatory, but we are different from other organizations because refiners want to be on our list. It's a commercial necessity, so we have teeth in that sense. We might not have the legal requirement, but it has a real commercial impact if refiners are really on the list. So we are able to be quite strict with it. I think certainly it's one for the exchange to consider, and that's something that could happen straight away, but I think the stronger message of being a trading partner should be on a legal scale. The other thing I just wanted to mention on responsible sourcing, we're also working about how you start to get people to understand on the local level what are these principles, what does it mean. We partnered with FinMet, which is led by Subha Kashyap, which you may know, on doing training in India in local languages, really talking about what this is on a one-on-one basis. So please have a look and speak to him about that if there's interest. I also wanted to respond very quickly, just in terms of, I think having a price set around the world is excellent, and it's great that it's happening on the exchange. I just think you should have both, and India deserves a seat at that table. And finally, the suggestion in terms of thinking specifically about what the international markets want, having meetings to focus on just them. We see this happening certainly in China, also in Malaysia and other major centers. It's certainly one that I would also welcome that approach, and if there's things that we can do to help, please let us know.
Thank you, Ms. Ruth, for the inputs. A lot of our large manufacturers are members of the Responsible Jewelry Council as well, RJC compliant, and or else they wouldn't be able to. But overall, we should have our own internal country-owned, as you said, that a regulation, so that the trust continues to be stronger and stronger. So before we close the session, I would like to take a final closing remarks from all our panelists. I'll start with Shruti. You've shared your thoughts. You've said the various initiatives. After hearing whatever all our panelists have spoken about, what would be your closing remarks?
I think like the vision of Indian government and the steps that the government regulators are taking towards making India, India can truly become a global jeweler. So definitely all positive strategies like IIBX, free trade agreements, responsible sourcing, all these will contribute to become India's success in the global market. Thank you.
Thank you. Chirag, we see a lot of jewelry organizations of the country growing all across the world. So your take and your closing remarks on the same.
No, I think, look, over the last 2 or 3 years, I think the government and the trade bodies have done a lot of steps to bring in transparency, responsible sourcing. I think we've got one of the most rigid limits on cash transactions anywhere in the world. You cannot do cash transaction about 200,000 rupees. You buy jewelry above 50,000, which is what, 500 pounds. You need to give your PAN card. So I think the government and the trade has done well. There's still a lot has to be done, but I think the kind of changes that we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years, it is absolutely commendable.
I think towards my closing comment, I would like to take the role of the moderator, because in this whole panel, the only jeweler who is the one is Mr. Suvankar Sen. So let us, take the concluding remarks from Mr. Suvankar. How do you look at, Indian jewelers emerging on the global scale? And from the Indian perspective as well as global perspective, because now your company, Senco, has also opened some brands outside, we are in the process of actually having your showrooms outside India, in UAE and maybe other countries also you will be looking at. And so how do you look at, because you have also recently had a very successful IPO, so you are just at the right role model for all of us to tell, how as a key player in the jewelry industry, you think that we should take on the whole globe.
Yeah, thank you, Ashokji. See, what, the perspective that I'm looking at, also I'm a part on the board of the Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council. And last 2 years, 3 years, the council is working towards making India known for its quality. Ultimately, there are two aspects, I think, that, along with the fact that, yes, there's a large number of skilled artisans that India has, which will allow India to continue to manufacture products to serve the world. So that is that there is an inherent strength, there is a culture of not only buying and wearing jewelry, but a culture of making jewelry also. While we can see that making jewelry is a dying art, we are looking at, many countries where there are resources, there are factories, there are the raw materials, but they do not have people to make the products for them. So India can play a very big role because it has an inherent strength. That is one. Second is that the quality initiatives that are being taken by the government, taken by the various stakeholders, taken by the members, in terms of the exchanges, in terms of the factory, in terms of the regulation, I think that over a period of time we can continue to improve, and people across the world, consumers, will know that, like the way we know of various countries known for its quality, India will also be known for its quality. So that is the second aspect. Chirag spoke about the design aspect of it. Again, we are seeing designers from India emerging across the world. Not only that the economy of the country is being looked up to, but also the culture, the ethos, the design sense people across the world are following. But we also need to learn from the world. What sells in Germany is different from France, is different from various parts of the US as well. So it is not a limited diaspora, but diasporas across the world of various communities. And I guess that lastly, in terms of trust, that is what we've heard. We've heard Ms. Ruth talking about, we've heard Mr. Jeffrey talking about, as from the global perspective, that through responsible sourcing, through sustainability, we continue to build trust. And I think that these are the 4 pillars on which, as a jeweler, maybe we are serving our customers who are domestic with the same philosophy, and carrying forward the legacy, and not just us. I think the best of jewelers, the organized players that are there in the industry, they all work on these 4 pillars. And the same 4 pillars now, with a more global perspective, we all need to carry forward. And I'm sure that if we are strong to our roots and take that culture across the world and mix up globally. So we say that, global thinking and local strength. So combining both of that, we can truly be a superpower in making India a jeweler to the world. So that is my perspective, sir. So
thank you, Suvankarji, and I'm sure, this requires, round of applause, because not only from the Cartier of the world, we will also have the examples where the world will say they are the Senco of the world. So very best wishes to you.
Thank you, thank you. So lastly, Harishji.
Thank you very much. You made everybody's life. But you are right. that you have to build you are going to build a brand, but at the same time trust, which will take a little bit of time. But as the companies will grow, I mean, they're the brand which you create domestically, and eventually you move out and create, and some of them have done it, like Malabar, Kalyan, Joy, Alucas. And you also know that IBJA has an office in Dubai, and they are basically catering to the members here, so they are being exposed to the UAE market directly there, because they can have their desk and display their wares. You talked about the artisans here. I mean, we don't have a shortage of that, and there are so many. I have seen, because my wife does the buying, so you come to know. When you have to pay the bill, you come to know. That she buys it from these artisans here who make a specialized jewelry, and that is actually now catching up. So I think we have a good chance to do that, and today becoming compared to our olden days when the economy was we were not the largest economy. I mean, today we are not, but today we are at least the 6th or the 5th largest, and catching up very fast. I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, this morning I heard the industrial production was 14%. So I mean, that way, because the economy is growing, we will have some demand here, but I think even internationally we shall have that.
Great. Yes, finally, Mr. Jeffrey, Ms. Ruth, closing remarks from your side, please. Mr. Jeffrey.
Yeah, okay. I think it's very good that Ruth actually has the final say, because having spent half of my life working closely with the LBMA in London, it's still my kind of home, really, and the LBMA is still my favourite organisation in the world of God. So I, all the way up, I think this is the 15th position, Mr. Judah, probably 14, I really can't remember. And I don't think I've ever attended the social forum without mentioning Willie Banks, because it's amazing that India is either number 1 or number 2, and I agree, I think it's the number 1 piece of involvement in the world. And fantastic jewelry sector. Now the jewelers, they make a good return on cash, a good return on capital, so they should be able to borrow very effectively to grow their business. But for such a big gold mine, it is just unbelievable that you don't have banks that can be full scale, full service, fully banked. And I agree with Bruce, talking about the potential. What would be a wonderful thing to have at least one or two of the bullion banks actually participating in the daily benchmark. So I think the one thing I would do that we could grow the whole gold industry, but certainly service the jewelry sector in India, allow for the Central Bank, State bankers in India, the Reserve Bank in Missouri, and the government to take the shackles off and let bullion banks in India be full-scale bullion banks. I think it will transform your industry and be fantastic for jewelry.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. These are very encouraging words. Ms. Ruth, if you could please give your closing remarks.
So, I think Mona talked about how India becomes a superpower, and I agree with Kumar. India already is a superpower in the gold market. But I'm unapologetically ambitious for India. They could do so much more, but you need that government support. Take the shackles off the banks and put real regulation, so that major targets on trading partners say, wow, they're taking this seriously. We should invest again, look again, and change. So there's so much in terms of that has changed over the last few years. The gift city, the creation of the exchange, there's so much more to come. So it really is a message to government, and if there's something we can do to help get that message across for you, please let us know.
Thank you. These words are truly encouraging and gives us a lot of inspiration to continue the efforts that the industry is making. So thank you all my dear panelists to be a part of this esteemed panel. And thank you, Ruth, thank you, Jeffrey, for being there with us. Thank you. So,
big round of applause for all our speakers on stage. And to the two speakers who are joining us virtually, we thank you profusely for taking the time out and giving us your expert's view. Thank you all for joining us.
And thanks to all the audience for being so patient and listening to us. And this truly gives ASSOCHAM a more encouragement to do more such events and continue from 15th to the 16th Gold Economic Forum. Thank you.
Sure. I request all of you to please gather for a group photograph. On behalf of, I would request Mr. Paranjpe, Mr. Somsundar to also please come up on stage. Ms. Rona also to please come on stage for a group photograph. Other speakers who are in the audience are also requested to please come on stage for a group photograph.
Anuj, call please.
I request Mr. Anuj to also please join us. Yes, yes, ma'am. On behalf of ASSOCHAM, I would like to thank all our esteemed speakers for taking the time out to come here and share your views with the audience. I want to thank all our delegates as well for your participation and your patience and for being such a great audience. And we'd also like to thank our sponsors for their support, our forum partner World Gold Council, our banking partner SBI, our commodities partner MCX, exchange partner NSE, associate sponsors Senco Gold, and supporters IIBX and SMC. We want to thank them for their support, without which this success of this conference would not have been possible. And look forward to seeing you again in the next edition of the Gold Economic Forum. Till then, keep up the good work.
I